Perfect. Thanks everyone for joining. We've got an awesome panel today, and if you unfortunately are not able to make the last one, I'd say obviously take a moment and review it later on. My name is Peter. I just wanted to introduce everyone here. We have an awesome panel of experts here today, and I'm pumped to introduce them. These folks are rock stars in their fields. They implement AI, they are AI experts, and they're strategic experts as well. So they're able to bring that lens and kind of mesh it together for us. I think this is going to be an awesome, awesome session today. So I'm excited. Excited about the topic. So get comfortable. Let's get into it. First, let me introduce Svetlana. She's going to be our moderator today. Svetlana, I'm not sure if everyone on the call, most of the folks on the call should know who she is. Strategist, IT expert, teacher, leader, and all of that, bundled into one. Our panelists, first like to introduce Leila Achadze. I might be butchering some of the last names, so my apologies. But Leila is an independent consultant. She's a thought leader. She's a strategic leader. So excited to have her on the team. And next is Dominic Lahaye. Dominic is new to this panel today. We wanted to switch it up a little bit and bring a little bit more variety. Dominic is a multi-faceted tech expert, strategic, and has done a lot of implementation of AI in large tech organizations like HP. Happy to have you on the team, Dom. And next, I have Dominic Deschamps. Dom was on the last panel, obviously an expert in this field. He's currently going through an implementation of Copilot in his organization. So he's able to bring in that practical aspect of things and how things are now and that relevance onto the panel. Excited to have all of these folks on the team. Svetlana, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Peter, for the introduction, and good day, everyone, and welcome to today's Canadian BRM community gathering, where we'll explore the cutting-edge world of AI and its applications in business. Welcome back to those who participated in our first AI-related gathering, and also welcome to those who joined us for the first time. Last time we had an experience of discussing the transformative role of AI in organizations. We examined how AI is being developed, the challenges encountered, importance of integrating it responsibly and adequately. And so we extend our gratitude to the BRM Canadian community for your active participation and valuable feedback after our first gathering. Your contribution has shaped this event, and I'm very excited to have part 2 of it to continue our journey of learning, sharing, and growing. We had many questions last time, and I'm sure you will have more questions this time. Please put them in the chat, and we'll ask our panelists to answer the questions. So we have a very impressive lineup of experts today, and they're ready to share their insights on prompt engineering, large language models, AI hallucinations, and much more. So let's kick off with our first intriguing topic. And I personally very intrigued by it, which is prompt engineering. I guess at this point of time, each of us tried at least once, well, for work purposes, to use ChatGPT or other AI generative models. And we encountered already the importance of writing the correct prompts. So today we'll have Dom, Leila, and Dominic. So we'll call Dom Lahaye and Dominic Deschamps just to make a difference. We have 2 Dominics, even though the names are not written the same way. To demystify what exactly the prompt engineering. We explore its basics, role in business, and the emerging need for skills and certification in this area. Yes, there is a certification now in education in prompt engineering because it's becoming an essential skill for everyone. So I will start with Leila, and asking Lela the question, what is prompt engineering and how it can improve the business operations? And can you explain it in simple terms or whatever insights you have?
First of all, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody, and good evening for me. It's 9 p.m. I'm right now from Europe joining, and it is my honor and pleasure to be with you on this panel with my brilliant professional colleagues, with Dominic and Dom. Nice to meeting you. I had a pleasure to share the panel with Dominic, and things change so fast since we met last time. Lots of things have changed, and one of the professions which really emerged recently is a profession of prompt engineer. What it entails, prompt engineering is creating a question or statement, as we call it, a query or prompt, in a way that it can deliver the best, useful, and accurate response into the inquiry by a person. So how business can benefit by accurate, or even having, in a big organizations, they already have prompt engineers. The prompt engineering background should be connected with the machine learning, knowing large language LLMs, knowing also some NLPs, knowing different linguistic skills maybe also. So it is pretty well paid job. I did some background research before I came here. So in Canada, the minimum level of the payment yearly is 70,000 and the maximum is 130,000 per year, which is not really a bad payment. So why and what it entails for business? For business, it's mainly about enhancing creativity and innovation. Well-designed prompt will give you more ideas, more innovative and creative ideas for your business. It also improves the better shaped prompts will give you improved decision making. As better answer you get, so it's just a very common term, garbage in, garbage out. So whatever prompt you will use or whatever information the prompt will take, the same information you will get. It's same old story. So it will help. Good prompt engineering will be helping to improve decision making in all levels. And I really enjoyed what Svetlana just said, prompt engineering skill. And I'm strong in a team of strong believers and enthusiasts who believe that prompt engineering should be learned and taught by everybody in the organization. It's just a skill which should be developed with the practice and with the everyday use. So what else good prompt engineering warranties? It really can help you to streamline operations and also to help the automation, because it gives you more ideas, gives you innovative approaches. So it's really good also for the personal efficiency and effectiveness. Is better response, for example, I believe I mentioned in the previous session that I never do my menu or weekly shopping list myself anymore. So I just do it with the prompt in maybe maximum 5-10 minutes input. So that's it. Of course, then I remember the prompt and then I generate with some sweets. For example, I add, just give me recipes of Italian food now this time, but I have taught and prepared the prompt in a way that I have already stated who has some preferences in the family, what age groups. For example, I have 3 years old and her menu should be different. So I have mom who is older, so and so on. Also, what I really believe the prompt engineering is bringing to the table is those companies, those organizations, and those teams and individuals who are really learning how to prompt, and this is the prompt engineering is gaining a competitive edge. They are ahead of others. They already know what type of prompts are more useful in their specific fields. specific areas. So it's usually good to do better marketing researches, and it is really important for global engagement. Actually, Svetlana mentioned a few courses, and I did a research for you specifically, and I will drop after I complete my thoughts. I will drop those courses in the chat, so you can. Those are free courses, and I think they are pretty easy to access and digest and complete those courses. This is from my side at this point.
Thank you very much, Lela, for this insightful sharing. So I would move the question to Dominic Lahaye, who has things to say as well.
I think that prompt engineering, it's not something that's new, because for people who have been doing AI, for a long time, like me, so I'm an old guy, so we know that most of the big challenge is defining the problem. So I think that within prompt engineering, so you have some specific, let's say, languages that you can learn, but the most important thing is to properly formulate the problem. I mean, in the past, we know AI projects, a lot of them fail or are never implemented, and the number one cause for this project to fail is that people either don't define the problem properly, or define a problem that is not solvable with AI. So on the long term, I would not bet too much on prompt engineering, because part of it is also to compensate the limitation of models. So my expectation is, as models improve, we should be doing less and less of the pure, let's say, syntactic and framing for the prompt. But what is still going to remain is the need to very clearly define and structure the problem. So that's kind of my take on that. Plus, for people who have started experimenting with GPT-4, so the paid version, you have the GPTs, okay, which kind of give you another way to, another interface to build prompts that you can reuse. So that's my take on this.
Thank you, Dominic, and moving to Dom.
Well, thank you very much. Very pleased to be back on this panel today. I'll touch on the reskilling aspect, either from an IT personnel or from an end user consumption perspective. There is some upskilling or reskilling to do. End user perspective, there's an upskilling required. You now have an engine on your machine, your desktop, allowing you to be more productive, that will assist you. And I'm referring, of course, to the Microsoft Copilot engine that's been made available to general public as of November 1. So something to keep in mind, that digital dexterity for the end users is very much needed. And it needs to be, I'd say, improved or upskilled or reskilled if it doesn't exist, for users to consume that technology properly. And I'm not even into the arena of prompt engineering at this point, because it's really how to interact with this engine that will allow you to gain in productivity. But the key piece that I wanted to touch on, Svetlana and colleagues, is really around the IT personnel reskilling that needs to happen. And this is something that we're seeing now as part of our Copilot deployment in my company, where we are currently assessing what's going to be our short, mid, and long-term needs in terms of skills that we'll need on the team, on the IT team. We're looking at people, we're looking at skills, of course, we're looking at our processes, how we conduct our business. It will change the way things are going, because it goes fast. And how do you keep up with this? Well, you need to start. And the starting point is with, a proper career development plan with people, with your staff, with your personnel, to make sure there's a roadmap you increase and reskill them to what the future is going to look like. So the Excel guru may not be required anymore, as I mentioned in the last panel, but a prompt engineering version of some sort may need to exist in your organization in order to interact properly with these lovely engines. Back to you,
Thank you very much, Dominic. You mentioned something very interesting, that Copilot extension of Microsoft is available to general public starting November 1st. Can you please couple of comments about it, what it means for us? Can we use it as people, and what's your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. You can actually buy a license. There are some prerequisites, of course, available on the Microsoft website, but licensing is available to general public as of November 1. Keep in mind that Copilot is not, and this is what we're observing right now in our organization, Copilot is not learning your organization. It's there to assist in your day-to-day tasks. So it's like Microsoft Office 365, including Teams and Outlook on steroids, more or less. That's what it is. It's really, really, really good in that sense. So if you have a need for this in your personal use, or your small business or medium-sized company use, by all means, November 1, Microsoft made it available to everyone. So go for it. And the cost is not bad. But I won't get into the cost factor because you know, I don't like getting into the financials publicly.
Yeah, and we have several questions here, but how we want to proceed? Answer them right away as we go. Let's answer them right away. So Rob is asking, do you have concerns with maintaining privacy or information included in AI prompts? In most cases, the information in prompts is being shared with external third parties for processing. If a prompt were to include confidential and sensitive information, that could be problematic. Who wants to answer this?
I can give it a first kick at the can, and then my colleagues can jump in. On our side, the beauty of this Microsoft 365 Copilot engine is that we leverage the existing security stack that exists in our Microsoft 365 tenant. So meaning that we are covered, whatever privacy rules existed, whatever security criteria that we had in place, they're still in existence, and they're applied to Copilot.
Okay, anyone else wants to share?
Confidentiality. One thing is that if you work in an area where it's extremely important, privacy, you can still, build up your own system and deploy large language models. Oh, you're on mute.
Okay, I muted you. Okay, we didn't hear what you said, but we understood that as in any other security and privacy domain, like you have to keep secrets for yourself. There is no warranty that it wouldn't be leaking right out of your system.
I just wanted to mention that you can still deploy your own, using an open source if it's really, really, critical for you. So some companies do that. So model may be not as effective as Microsoft Copilot, but there's some use cases where a company do that.
Thank you.
I would add that it is even announced by OpenAI that they are using the information which is prompted for the further research and development. So it's not the closed door. They are just saying the information which is fed right now to the chat 3.5 and 4 is used by the OpenAI. So nothing is hidden, but of course we as users have to be mindful because we are aware of it. Any sensitive information you believe should not be entered, you just also should have the policies in companies. Doesn't matter, will it be small, medium, or large corporations, you should have those policies in place already if you haven't have them. Yeah, so what information should be there, how it should be treated, and so on. What should be, this is why it is important that you have AI literacy among your employees, so they understand what is the privacy and not. Thank you. Back to you, Svetlana.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And we had another question about reskilling to Dominic Deschênes is, can you give an example of a new skill that are required by both IT personnel and those not in AI, those not in IT? About reskilling.
Well, one of the skills that we're currently investing in on our side is prompt engineering associated with Copilot and how to manage the engine in the backend. Again, it's at the corporate level. We have a tenant and we have a semantics index that we need to manage for Copilot to work properly. So it's all about thinking as the agent sitting on the user's desktop, and how will it behave and what kind of context information it's looking for. It's very, with everything the IT personnel does today, and that's the reskilling we're doing on our part, whatever intervention we do at the Copilot parameter level has an impact on the end user right away. So, which is different than making a backend change, and then the user consumes the new feature, the new technology at their leisure, as opposed to if they have Copilot available on their machine, it's effective immediately, and the behavior of the engine will change based on the configuration. So it's all about thinking about the end user, the potential impact to the end user at the end of the day, and mastering the technology itself, of course, more of the technical aspect, but soft skills is really about keeping the end user in mind, because you have a direct impact on how the engine is going to react to the user prompts.
Okay, thank you very much. So, we have a comment from Dominic Lahaye. Open source model you can use is the Meta LLM, LLMA2, not as powerful as ChatGPT 4, but should be okay for many use cases, assuming you have the resources to deploy in your organization. Okay, I will move to the next question. The next question was another fascinating one. How to make a difference and what is the use of BARD versus ChatGPT, the nuances of these models and how they can be leveraged in business settings, and what is their differences between them. I would go first to Dominic Deschênes and then to Lela.
Sure, and I'll comment on our experience so far with Copilot, which is an engine, as I mentioned earlier on, that is not learning from what's happening in the ecosystem. And a good example that we've tried with Copilot to test that learning aspect is we went into our Copilot engine, asked it, what color is my shirt today? Of course, it came back and said, I don't know. So then I would respond back and say, my shirt is black. And then I would ask it again, what color is my shirt? Say, well, your shirt is black. But if I close my conversation, that chat, and I open a new one, it's still the same engine. And I ask that question again, what color is my shirt? It's not going to remember. It'll say, I don't know what color is your shirt. So it's not learning or retaining any information, which is something that's we need to get used to it. And the users need to get used in how to prompt on like an ongoing I'd say ongoing basis, continuous basis, more than ongoing, as the system is not remembering what it told you the day before, 5 minutes before, 30 seconds before. I'll let Leila comment on the other types of AI, because that's really the exposure we've had so far in my company. Leila, I'll turn it over to you maybe to tell us a little bit more about the other types of engine that we see out there.
Thank you, Dominic. So right now I want to talk more about Bard and ChatGPT 3.5 and 4 because they are more used and they are more user friendly and they have a more communicative. For IT, there are several platforms and LLMs which are not as used by the bigger population, but I'll give you differences between those two. So first of all, the developers are different, right? Bard is developed by Google and Chat is developed by OpenAI. And the language model which is used by Bard is Palm 2, and the Chat is using ChatGPT 3.5 and 4 respectively. Yeah, Bard has a real web access, while ChatGPT, which is free version, is using the data up to the 2021. However, the paid version had GPT-4 has access to the later data as well. One aspect which is pretty used recently is about the image generation. Bard, whenever you ask to generate image, it just retrieves web-based images. It does not create from the scratch. While, for example, ChatGPT creates from the scratch, like it connected to DALL-E and it creates from the scratch based on the prompt, as we discussed, which you are feeding to the chat. Another point could be we are becoming more and more global and interconnected. The language support, which is really interesting. Bard has more than 40 languages support, which is pretty high quality, while ChatGPT only has 9 languages, which are pretty high quality and accuracy, and it is pretty good comparison, right? So also what we can say, the availability of each of them, right? The ChatGPT is only available globally in 164 countries, while Bard is available in 230 countries, more access. It means that Google has more access to the information and cultural information because wherever is fed, they are using this data. Everything, every information which is fed, they are using for their further development. So it's pretty interesting. Whoever is using Google platforms and Google apps, Bard is just brilliant. It's directly transfers any information that you are prompting. For example, if you develop something, plan. For example, in a Bard, you just have to say that just transfer it to Google Word document. On the drive, it's immediately just transferring it. Besides that, they have just developed the plugin. For example, if you start working on some of the document on your Google Word Drive, you start using the plugin like using ChatGPT as a formula in Excel, Google Excel. So you don't have to prompt it in the Bard. You just use it directly in a Word, in a Google Drive, in Excel, or even PowerPoint presentation. While ChatGPT is connected to the Bing, and it can convert to the Microsoft 3.365. So this is where the connection, so they don't talk to each other. It's very interesting. Even when you ask for something, they are just not, it seems that they are not friends. They are like against each other. So interesting part is that ChatGPT is very well integrated with other apps like Slack, like WordPress, or Zapier, or whatever. The Google doesn't do that. Bard does not really interact. Only Google Drive apps. He's interacting and promoting all the Google Drive apps. Other than that, all the content creation, customer service, education, entertainment, research, everything is almost the same. Of course, we have the pricing for $20 of the ChatGPT, which is web access. But the recent development just last week, I'm sure some of you heard that the ChatGPT announced the creation of customized GPT, and I used it, and it is really brilliant. So what it means, you just find the prompt created already by somebody specifically for some purposes. For example, if I'm doing some market research and there was like coding, like no code, low code direction, yeah, some customized prompt was created for market research or maybe business decision, and you can just search it through the web and find it and plug it and include it in your customized, like DALE, you include like smart sheets or whatever, you include the customized prompt in your library. And I'm getting back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lela. I will move to our, yeah, go ahead, Dom.
No, I was just going to add on what you mentioned, Leila. We introduced last week, if there's a part 3, I commit to giving you some feedback on this, but you just alluded, Leila, to Bing Chat Enterprise and Copilot not necessarily talking to each other, or 360. We introduced this in our lab last week, and so far there's a disconnect between the two. That's what we've observed. They don't talk to each other nicely. So we'll see. We'll give it some time. But I just wanted to add that we've introduced this into our lab just for testing purposes and see how they behave, how the two tool sets behaves in the environment.
There are interesting. Go ahead, Dominic.
No, just one short comment. So if you look at the benchmark on all these models currently, so GPT-4 is clearly ahead. So in terms of performance, quality, level of hallucination, summaries, and so on and so forth. So every other, is playing catch up, to OpenAI, and they are on par with GPT 3.5, but not yet on par with GPT-4. It may come, but currently GPT-4 is clearly a more powerful model.
Yeah, and there's a question
and depending
here.
on who the CEO of OpenAI is, of course, right?
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting happening this week, right? So we observed there. We have a question here. Does anyone know when BARD will be supported in Canada? I guess we don't know, but I suggest to move to another question, which is another amazing topic, critical topic of AI, which is hallucinations. I personally experienced a lot, and going back to my initial comment at the beginning of this panel, I have a feeling overall that ChatGPT, regardless of the paid or subscription or not subscription version, I use both, is worsening in its responses. Maybe you can comment on this phenomena. But what is hallucinations? What is the reliability and ethical implications of AI-generated content? And this is where I will ask Dominic, like, hey, what are your, Dominic, insights of managing AI hallucinations in business environments, ensuring content quality, and how it impacts business ethics?
So an hallucination is mainly an error. Okay, so they call it hallucination because it sounds nicer. But one thing that people need to understand is that by design, these machines are statistical. So sometimes they're going to give you a correct answer, and sometimes they're not going to give you a correct answer. So in the process, you give a prompt, the machine doesn't understand the prompt. It just tries to find the next sequence of words that fits the most with what you have provided. So first thing is that you're always going to have a hallucination. So there are ways to mitigate hallucinations. So as an example, so one of the best way to mitigate hallucination is to provide the content. So instead of asking GPT to answer your question, you would say, answer this question, but take this content as context. And that's what we call context injection. And it's the I would say, the most common ways that people build a enterprise app. So, for example, if you build an enterprise app for HR, so what you would do, as an example, that you would feed the PDF of all the HR procedure, policies and so on and so forth as a context, and then you will limit, GPT to answer within this context. There's still going to be a little bit of hallucination, but less. So just to give you a number, so on a pure generation, so models like GPT, which is the best, his hallucination is around 10 to 15%. That's what they say. In summarization, so when you provide the content, it's down to 3%. So providing the model context is really a good way to reduce hallucination. Another thing that you could do is human check, and that's what we all do. So you run ChatGPT, it comes back with content. You like it, you use it. You don't like it, you ask it again, and then you have a different answer. So there are some, by the way, there are some more sophisticated technique that you can use, like if you're in a field where you really cannot tolerate code error and hallucination, what people would do is that they would train an additional model, and instead of asking ChatGPT to provide one answer, they would ask it to provide 3 or 4 answers, and they use another model to select the best answers out of what the ChatGPT is providing. So there are techniques to use, to counter hallucination, but it can be quickly expensive to do that. And last thing is that sometimes it's okay to have hallucination. So if you are in a creative field, that's pretty much okay. You actually want, to have some creativity and some diverse, content generated.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And anyone has any comments? Yeah.
May I? I completely agree with your comment. Initially, at the development stage, BARD seemed to hallucinate more, but recently they have improved it, and they obviously have more information. However, what I learned after just doing lots of research, one of the reasons of the hallucination is the number of token limits that ChatGPT 3.5 and 4 has. So what is the token? I believe most of you know. The token is the combination of the words, like word somewhat, yeah? It is written together, but it is combined of 2 tokens, somewhat. So yeah, so every word is either combined by the words or is just one word, like A is one word, the is one word. So it turns out that the ChatGPT 3.5 has a token limit 4,096, 4,000 around, and GPT 4 has a limit of 8,000. So what it tells you, you are using, every time you are prompting, you are using the tokens. As far it goes and using up the limit, it hallucinates more and more. This is why, for example, have you noticed that you started the conversation and it was pretty good with the responses, and as far you go, it seems that forgetting your earlier content. So this is why you have just, because you are using up the limit, so it starts forgetting. So one of the recommendations usually I give my clients is to install token counter. So this is web plugin, which you install and see how many tokens have you used up. So if you see, for example, you upload the PDF document, yeah, and you probably used, if it's 1,000 words, you already used maybe, I don't know, pretty big amount of your tokens available, right? So you have to have a measure and expectations. How much tokens are you using, and what should you expect the ChatGPT doing with hallucination? So as far as you go with the token usage, as more it hallucinates. So that
What does
was
it
the
mean? What does it mean, Lela? How many tokens we're using? What does it mean exactly?
for example, when you prompt the question, each word is a token. So in the sentence, if a sentence has 50 words, it means that it is 50 tokens. But the words, sometimes I mentioned that some words are combined words. Yeah, like somehow, somewhat, with the combined words, it sounds it is one word, but it's two token. So you shouldn't be bothered with counting them. It is nonsense to count them, but there is a web app which you just install as a plugin, and it gives you short countdown of all the tokens. How much tokens have you used up? Okay, so
Yeah, I think on the very new GPT version, they have increased the window a bit. I think now there are 32K, window, so they are catching up. But you're right, they were very limited in terms of number of tokens.
Okay.
One more topic and I'll just shut up. Everybody is asking, how can I find the customized prompt libraries? I will be dropping in the chat the link. So this is the link. You just need to drop in a Google search bar, and it will give you whole list of the existing already free customized prompts. For example, there are brilliant market research prompts, and there are brilliant business advice prompts, which I tried, for example, 2-3 days ago. So you can try them. Even then you can play with it, and then in your search bar, where you put in a Google search bar, you also can put the word that or topic that interests you, and it will even filter the customized prompt that you are looking for.
Yeah, Lela, the link doesn't work. Probably, yeah, I copied and pasted.
No. Open Google search.
Yeah. Okay.
And when you search for something, put it there, and it will give you all the drop down. Don't hit this button because it won't give you anything.
Okay. I will test it, but I actually copied and pasted it and didn't work. But I will try again. Anyways, so let's go to another topic because we are running out of time, and we want to open the floor for the questions. Please, everyone, whoever has any questions, drop them in our chat. And we will go to our next topic is the use of ChatGPT in business, and what are the practical aspects using ChatGPT versus free version versus subscription model. So while Dominic Lahaye, I will give you a word to comment on that.
So maybe I will first comment on the free versus paid version of GPT. For the corporate, I think what the other Dominic is doing is probably the best way to go. Copilot, which is an enterprise version of GPT. You can also get an enterprise version of OpenAI GPT, but I understand that they are very, let's say, it's very difficult to get. You have to have a large organization. So for the present, my assumption is that most organizations will do like what Dominic mentioned, is deploy Microsoft Copilot. But the difference between ChatGPT Plus and ChatGPT, I mean, there are a couple which are really important. So first, it's not the same model. So it's 4 versus 3.5. The second is that in ChatGPT Plus, you have access to plugins such as DALI. So you can, as Leila mentioned, so you can generate images using DALI. You also have access to the advanced analytics. Okay, so if you use a GPT without advanced analytics, it's very bad at math. Okay, doing but you can try a multiplication of five numbers by 5 numbers. It's going to make errors. But if you have the advanced analytics, it will run all the math through Python code, and it does it perfect. And you have some additional plugins such as it can upload PDF automatically, so which you're gonna do, if I understand correctly. Actually, I remember with an unpaid version. Plus, you have the GPTs. So Leila described the GPT, so that's only available with the paid version. So you can build your own custom model. So, for example, I have built some GPTs for French to English translation, vice versa, technical English. So where they are going with this is that they want to build some kind of an app store, like what Apple has done, and in the long run, we would be. We are already able to pick on some GPTs that other users have done, but we should be able to buy GPTs as well. So the long story short, so the model is better, the plugins and the GPTs. So these are the main difference.
Thank you.
And the price, sorry, $20.
And Dominic Deschênes, do you want to comment on that? Any experience using it in your organization? Any comments?
It's all about playing with the tool and becoming familiar with it. And I'll leave my comment on that because I know there's another question coming up next, and I want to make sure I save some content.
Yeah, okay. We are moving to our next question. We still have several minutes left. Yes. Yep. So we will explore the best practices of implementing generative models in business. And that's, I guess, the insights you wanted to share, Dominic, which the practices you used in your organization. Let's start with discussing the key success factors the businesses should consider before implementing these advanced AI models, or during the implementation. What's your experience?
So far, something that's a key that is, as far as we're concerned to date, a key success factor is to be very close to the manufacturer, and in our case, we're dealing with Microsoft. So be very close to them, because this is a new product to them as well. Yeah, they've been working on it for X number of years, of course, but still, it's a new product. They're still mastering that technology, and now it's open to organization like ours, which is a pretty large organization. It is open to companies, and now we're learning how this tool is behaving in a company like my organization. So be very close to your manufacturer. I think that's key. Manage expectations within your own organization. Manage the excitement and the expectations as well, because as soon as you get into, well, you can have an engine that will summarize your email in like 30 seconds, like the 50 emails that you got in a day, in like 15 seconds, you get the most important one. Yes, that is something that Copilot can do, of course. When you talk to people about this, there's some excitement being generated, and people all want that tool now. They say, wow, I need it, I could increase my productivity. But then just make sure you manage that message properly, because it can easily get out of control. It looks nice and fancy. There are some neat features, but we need time to absorb the technology. It's very intuitive. It really is. However, there is still a good learning curve as to how you behave with this agent. So piece of advice that I would share with the colleagues online, with all of you, is if you're ever considering buying an engine such as Microsoft Copilot or any other engines of this nature, deploy it ASAP, manage expectations, but deploy it as soon as possible. Play with the engine and learn from what your people are experiencing day in and day out with the engine. That's the only way you're going to be able to form an opinion on what your use case should be and how beneficial it will be to your company, your organization.
Thank you. Thank you, Dominic. Well, you would like to comment? Dom, your turn.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there are several ways to deploy, I mean, this kind of technologies. So you can do it company-wide, or I mean, you can deploy it as a productivity tool for everybody. You can also go after one business process, and there are some business processes which are really interesting, you know, to tackle, including customer support. So I can give you, I mean, example. So in call centers, so what you could do is even not deploying, you know, generative AI across the company, but just equip your call center. And if you mix, you know, like voice to text, generative AI on the text, I mean, summarization, email back to the client, automatic classification on the call. And so you can get pretty good benefits, you know, right off the bat, just deploying on a call center. And there are functions within the enterprise. I would say I mean, the coding, I mean, is definitely a good target. So everybody coding is going to see generative AI coming its way, I mean, one way or the other. But also any, you know, function where you write things, because I mean, text is an easy target for generative AI, or where you know, transform text. Like if you have people in your organization that read text, I mean, annotate them, load them in an ERP or a CRM. So you can do, you know, micro deployment function by function. And I mean, that's one way to get, I mean, quick wins and get some buy-in from the organization. You can also deploy across the board, but I mean, that's more challenging.
Mm-hmm. So we have 5 minutes left. So Leila, you can comment on that. So, and if anyone has questions, please go ahead, Leila.
Well, for businesses, the first advice would be to first of all, they will need to use AI in their lives, and this is unavoidable. It's there is no question. If we are talking about how deep they should be going, there are varied factors depending on their strategy, the vision, the readiness from the people. This is why I always advocate measuring the adaptability readiness coefficient for their teams. They should know what is their AQ, individual level, team level, and also the organizational level, because they should coincide. The willingness to be up to date with all AI tools is one, but the readiness to adopt it is the different. So Dominic several times mentioned the reskill, upskill, and this is not a fairy tale. It is really different from a person to person in the team. And the human resource is the most valuable asset that we have in our organizations, right? So first of all, my recommendation, one of the recommendations that I'm giving is to measure the adaptability. It is pretty new, and I don't know if you heard about adaptability quotient. and I do lots of assessment surveys. It is also AI based, but at least it is measured. Usually when we measure skill of communication, we say how we're going to measure it, what is the success, how the success is measured. For adaptability, I would just recommend to measure it somehow and have a result, and then work on each of those skills for individual, team, and even organization. You can measure the adaptability quotient rating for your teams, like your marketing team has different, procurement team has different, your finance team has different adaptability. So it's pretty important. And you can use in your hiring then the knowledge that you gain.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Lela. Adaptability is a big topic, very interesting. So we pretty much get to the end of our hour and this exciting panel discussion. We have thank you comment here, very enlightening discussion. Thank you, everyone. And this will be recorded and posted as usual. We'll post it on LinkedIn and don't hesitate to reach us out. You have our email. Thank you, BRM community, and have a great afternoon. We have other comments coming. Thanks, everyone. Great job moderating this, Svetlana. Oh, thank you, Evgeny. And we have another comment here. So thank you. Well, thank you for being here. And I personally, every time join these events, I learn a lot. That's my personal vested interest in the topic, and planning to learn a lot more as well as all of us, I guess. Then we have comment from Elizabeth. Great panel discussion. Anyways, so thank you. And at this point, I guess we'll disconnect, right? Jasbir, you are managing. We have comment from Eva. Thank you, everyone, for this a great discussion. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.